want to talk a little bit more about this idea of coalition and alliance, and you have a chapter in the book towards the end called "The Binding Strategy," right? And you're thinking about, well, what holds the coalition or the alliance together, and as we talked about this before, right? So the essential element is likely to be fear, right? There's something feared, and there's a common interest around that. But I wanted to just push you a little bit. Are you satisfied that it's just fear of an aggressor or whatever, or is there another dimension to it which might go to values, commonly held values, or is that the wrong direction from your point of view and thinking about what will bind us together in coalitions?
Well, I am of the view that what really is most important, I mean, as Hobbes said, the passion to be reckoned upon is fear, and I think that's the right mindset when you're thinking about alliances, which are ultimately tools of war and peace, and therefore involve, uh, potential death, people dying in large numbers and so forth. We really got to be clear in our heads. I think what I would say, and I think kind of what you're suggesting, I think in Asia. Um, yeah, well, here's what I'll say. Fear is not an immoral or amoral emotion, because the fear or passion, the fear is of the things that a country highly values. And frankly, I think we see that in Ukraine, the fear of the molestation or aggression against one's own country, one's own family, one's own community. That is a moral duty, and that is that has a moral quality. And I'd go a little bit beyond that, because in Asia in particular, well, not in particular, I think in Asia, particularly outside of Europe, nationalism and national autonomy and independence are not bad words. I mean, in Asia, nationalism is associated with the anti-colonial movements and the ejection of the European powers. So it's a good thing, I mean, it's, the standing up of the people, including the Chinese people, by the way, the standing up of the Asian people, and the assumption of a independent and strong national life and a place in the world. So I think that's the sort of, to me, and that's when I always liked the term free and open in Indo-Pacific, because it was saying, look, there's a kind of ecumenical quality to it in terms of who's welcome in this coalition. But it's saying, look, you're going to kind of figure out your own national life, and we might have views on, say, obviously we don't like Vietnam's system of government, but the priority here is an anti-hegemonic coalition, and Vietnam deserves to have its own independent course in national life. I hope it becomes a free society and treats its people with more, dignity and so forth. But the core goal here is to prevent China from dominating us all. And that's, I think, the moral quality. And this is very important, actually, and I think we're actually seeing this right now, is that the Biden administration, I think the president has a different view, and people like Secretary of State Blinken, that there has to be this positive idea, which is kind of the rules-based international order or democracy or something. I mean, a couple of things. One, that's gonna cause problems in Asia. And if you read people like my friend Ashley Townsend from Australia, that doesn't travel well, because if you look at the Freedom House rankings, for instance, in South and Southeast Asia, there's no country that is green. I mean, I'm not saying they're perfect judges, but it gives you sort of a sense. So if that's your central message, you might get Luxembourg and Denmark, but you're not going to get Vietnam or Thailand or Malaysia or India even, right? I mean, so that causes you real problems. The other thing is, I think it's built on a bit of a foundation of sand, which is, and I think, frankly, we're seeing this with Ukraine right now. The Ukrainians are fighting for their own homes and freedom and their own independence. They're not fighting for an abstract rules-based international order. And by the way, the Germans increasing their defense spending, they didn't respond to pleas for the rules-based international order over the last year. What Chancellor Scholz said in his speech was that they were responding to a threat to themselves, basically, an increased threat. And that's the Poles, for instance, whom the administration has not been particularly fond of, leading the charge. Well, because Ukraine's their neighbor, and they fear Russia very directly for very good reasons. So I think this is both more a sounder foundation to build upon, and I think it's moral. I think it's something that we can there's a strong moral foundation for it.